94.3 The Dude is very grateful to our men and women in uniform. We're proud to recognize local members of our military by turning the spotlight on them right now in our Soldier Salute.
I'm your host, Sergeant First Class Retired Don Sorensen, and on today's Soldier Salute, we're speaking with United States Navy veteran, Petty Officer Bobby Hunter, and Kaylee Swanson of the Columbia Fireflies. Bobby, tell me about yourself.
I'm from Meridian, Mississippi. Dad was a 20-year vet in the Army, so did a lot of traveling with him throughout his career. I graduated high school in Nuremberg, Germany, where I spent the majority of his career. He spent about 11 years in Germany. Been to Kaiserslautern, Germany, Frankfurt, Germany, Stuttgart, Germany, and like I said, I graduated from Nuremberg, Germany. Went to college for about a year and a half. Didn't work out, so I said I got to do something. I got to grow up. Got to get away from up under my parents. I ended up joining the Navy. In 1992, I was stationed in Guam on the USS Holland. Left Guam in 95, went to Virginia Beach, and I was stationed there at Oceana in a VF-103, a fighter squadron that was attached to the USS Enterprise. I was there from 95 to 97. And I left there in 97 and went to the Naval Hospital in Charleston, South Carolina. And I got out of the Navy in 2000. Went in the reserves here in Columbia in that whole 8 years in the Navy. I was a cook, but when I got here to Columbia in the reserves, they didn't have anything for cooks to do. So I had to switch over and I became a shore patrol, which is a military policeman. I'm the executive chef for the Columbia Fireflies. Been in food service for almost 27 years. Career-wise, I've been everywhere. I've been everywhere from working in Afghanistan for almost 5 years doing contract work with probably 3 major companies, Fluor, DynCorp, KBR. Worked here, local hospitals. Before I got to the Columbia Fireflies, I was the executive chef for the Benedict College. Love what I do. This is a blessing job that I'm at now.
Bobby, the only movie I've ever seen with a Navy cook in it was Under Siege, starring Steven Seagal. How true is that, man?
That's not true. That's a little far off from being a cook in the Navy. I'll tell you this, it's a pretty tough job. It's a lot of long hours. The thing with Steven Seagal, that's far-fetched as far as being a cook in the Navy. I wish it was that I could probably go out and do some real war stuff. But when you're on the ship in the Navy, you're literally focused on cooking all 24 hours throughout the day. I'd say one of the blessings that you have on being on the ship is that when ship pulls in, cooks are usually the first one to get off the ship, which is a great thing. From peeling potatoes to slicing onions, that's going on all day throughout the ship. And you're talking about frying chicken for 3,000, 4,000 sailors. You will be standing by the deep fat fryer for at least 2-3 hours while you're working. Or if you're on the grill doing grilled cheese sandwiches, you'll be making about 5,000 grilled cheese sandwiches. Maybe you and another person, but pretty tough deal.
You only specialize in one thing, right? You'll get up and you'll make breakfast, and then you got the rest of the day off.
No, actually, you specialize more than one. It's not so much just cooking, because you have the paperwork in it, and then you have the storeroom in of it. And then one thing a lot of people don't know about cooks in the Navy in the past is that when you're on your shore duty time, when you're doing that, sometimes you could be stationed at the PX or the commissary, or you could run the barracks or the naval hotel that they have on the base. Those positions fall under the cook's rates. And I think now a cook is called a culinary arts specialist. Back when I was in, it was mess management specialist.
Bobby, how do you get from being a Navy cook to the executive chef of an organization like the Fireflies?
At Benedict College, a person that I was ordering food from that worked at U.S. Food Service, we found out just having a conversation, we went to boot camp together. And me and Blair Sims, we became pretty good friends those 3 years that I was there. And then he got the contract for the Columbia Fireflies to order the food for them. And he mentioned my name, and they pretty much stuck with me. They called me in for an interview, and they said, hey, you're our guy. So from the time the stadium opened, I've been there ever since.
How different is it cooking for a lot of people, say, on a Navy ship as compared to preparing a lot of food for the hospitality provided by the Fireflies?
Well, to be honest with you, for me, it's not really no difference at all, because I attack my job by saying I'm trying to do the best I can for whoever's standing in front of me. So if it's a fan or if it's a shipmate or whatever, I'm trying to treat everybody the exact same. And I got this saying that I say in my head, I feel like I got great parents. So I always say I'm serving my parents. So if I see you, Don, standing in front of me, at that moment, you're my parents. So I figure I can't go wrong.
Bobby, the Fireflies have done so much for the veterans in the community. What does it mean to you as a veteran yourself to work for an organization like that?
It means a lot. My dad retired off of Fort Jackson, and to see how they interact with the soldiers, not only just the soldiers, but all the military branches when they come to the stadium, it's a great feeling. Just proud to be a part of an organization that really says that they want to be involved with the military here in Columbia, South Carolina.
Kaylee, why is the veteran community so important to the Columbia Fireflies?
Since Columbia is known as the most military-friendly community in America, it's obviously something that impacts us every day, and that we found a need to partner with to find ways that we can support that, be mindful of needs and ways that we can interact with such an important piece of our friendly community here in Columbia.
Kaylee, what ties do you have personally to some veterans in our community?
I've been fortunate enough to work with some of them closely as teammates, to call friends. I play rugby here, and a lot of times we're fortunate when some folks are stationed at Fort Jackson to get to know them, to have them as a part of what we're doing. Two of them actually just recently graduated. One is now at Fort Bragg in the 82nd Airborne, and then my other friend Janet graduated, and she is at Fort Campbell. So it's really neat to hear their stories and their point of view, but get to know them and understand what they go through on a daily basis.
Bobby, I learn quite often that the guests that I have on here are the children of military veterans as well. And you were telling me your dad is a 20-year Army veteran. Did that influence you in your choice to serve?
Initially, I really didn't want to go into military. It's just that when I started going to college and I realized that it wasn't going to work out for me, it made it easier for me to go in the military. And to just knowing the fact that I grew up in that environment, saw a little bit of what he was doing, but I just didn't want to go in the Army. I didn't want to do the woods thing. I said, if they go in the field, I said, let me see if I'll check on the Air Force or the Navy. And then the Navy recruiters said the right things, and that's how I ended up in the Navy.
So, in your house, who do you cheer for during the Army-Navy game?
Navy all day.
What about Dad?
Dad's Army, so.
Bobby, as much of the world that you had seen and all the things that you got to do in the Navy, man, it sounds like you had an amazing career. And then you took that and you turned it into what sounds to me like a pretty successful civilian career path. What advice do you have for that soldier, sailor, airman, Marine getting ready to hang up their uniform? My advice would be when you get ready to come out here in the civilian world is just take all those qualities that you learned about being on time, being squared away in your appearance, being a team player, team leader. And one of the most important thing is out here is really communication, big time, and then be willing to listen, because you're about to enter an environment that majority of the people around you did not serve, and they did not go through a lot of the things that what you went through. So you can come out here and be that little gung-ho-ness about you, but it's like a lot of people might not adapt to that real quick. So you're going to have to kind of like adapt to being a civilian, but don't lose the qualities of, as far as like I say, being on time, being squared away, being the first person that wants to say, I got it, that I'll step up to the plate and take care of things. Don't lose those things about yourself. But and just like I say, just be willing to listen.
Thanks for joining us in our Soldier Salute, presented by Little Pigs Barbecue. Serving Columbia since 1963 with that bodacious buffet. By Lexington Guns and Shooting Range. Veteran owned and operated. By Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Motorcycles, ATVs, and side-by-sides with discounts for all military personnel. And Dominion Energy. We depend on